Hey everyone, welcome to Sales Funnel Radio. This is a very special episode.
Welcome to Sales Funnel Radio, where you'll learn marketing strategies to grow your online business using today's best internet sales funnels. And now, here's your host, Steve Larsen.
All right, hey, welcome everyone. Today I have a very special guest. I'm very excited. I actually have only met her like only 2 weeks ago, and it was pretty cool actually. I felt an immediate connection. And anyways, this is Jennifer Goodwin. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Fantastic. I'm doing really, really well. I was scrolling through Facebook. It was about 2 weeks ago, and I don't know if I've told you this yet, but I was scrolling through Facebook and I saw an ad that you had out, and it was an ad for vets. And you said, hey, I can't remember exactly what the ad was saying, but it said something like, hey, here is a way for vets to launch their businesses online. And I immediately was like, whoa, this is so cool. Like, someone's going for this market? Like, I didn't know anyone who's been going for that. And that's amazing. And it's such a needed thing, you know, being in the military myself. So how did you even get into that?
Absolutely. Well, I grew up very patriotic, and I didn't realize until this year that the veterans were my ideal client. How it happened was I was always trying to help veterans or military guys and gals that needed help with the internet marketing and getting themselves to the next level. And most recently, I was volunteering at a local homeless veteran shelter where some guys and gals were in transition. And I said, well, little backstory, 3 years ago, I was on a motorcycle, my first ride, and I was life-flighted off the highway.
Oh my gosh. That was 3 years ago?
3 years ago, 30 minutes into my first ride with a friend on Highway 95. We were set at 70 miles per hour. Road debris came out of everywhere. 18-wheeler had blown its tire. Oh. And we couldn't avoid one of the pieces. It flattened the back tire. Needless to say, I took a nice, pricey helicopter ride to the trauma center. So I actually lost my business. I was down for a lot of time. Sure. Financially, physically, emotionally, I had to go through that trauma, and I had a lot of time to think during recovery, and I made a few decisions about my business when I got back to it, which I really just got back to it full time this past January. So I decided that I was going to partner with the right people and never sit on my ideas and make sure that I was launching all the things that I had written down in a book and that were collecting dust. But one of the other pieces was that I was going to give back, even though I was sort of starting over. I mean, I knew it was what I was doing. I had 15 years in the business. I was relaunching, but I still wanted volunteering and giving back to be part of that. So I was literally driving to a veteran center in Jacksonville, Florida, and just camping out in the chow hall every Thursday and saying, just whatever you have, just bring it to me. Just bring me your website needs, bring me your resume needs. You got a new computer and you need to know how to run it, just bring it to me. And even some of the staff there who weren't veterans would say, hey, I'm going for this other job interview. And so I just made myself available every Thursday, and it didn't feel like work. And then fast forward a couple months, a friend of mine that's pretty well known in the veteran space, he's on the History Channel and got quite a following on social media, said, he knew I was, back in business, and he said, Jen, I've got 4 veterans that need sites yesterday. And just working through those clients, it just didn't feel like work. It just felt so easy because they're so loyal. They're so grateful. It's usually what they're inventing or writing about is something I believe in. So I rebranded my business to be all about serving veterans.
That's incredible. So, you got your start. I love that. I've noticed that a lot of the people that I interview, they never ask permission to go do something like that. You just showed up. You just sit down, and every Thursday. How long did you do that before you kind of went through that rebrand?
Well, I only did that for a couple months because I actually ended up moving out of the area.
Right.
and haven't found a new local shelter to go help with. So let me see. I believe I started January, February, March. So probably about 2.5 months into that, I rebranded. I was also talking with some coaches, and actually one of the coaches I was speaking with, a female coach, she was a veteran, and she is a veteran, and she said, Jen, I got my start with helping my fellow Army soldiers starting their businesses when they got out. I said, this is my ideal client. The more I think about it, I said, is it that easy? And she said, yeah. And I literally, within 24 hours, I couldn't even wait to rebrand everything. I went to the team and to the social media images, and I started changing it all up. And the first batch was a little bit rough and amateur, and I just wanted to get camouflage in there. And then
yeah.
It's probably one of the ones you saw, or maybe one of the newer ones. But it was pretty quick.
Yeah. That's incredible, and it's interesting that's the way that worked out. I remember when I went through basic. I'm obviously business minded. I really enjoy it, and it's my obsession a little bit. But I was going through basic training, and it's hard at certain points. And one of the things that kept me going mentally and emotionally was talking about business ideas with all these other guys. And I ended up having at night all these guys that would sit around, and we would just talk about some different strategies. And to this day, I still talk to some of them, and they're trying to do business stuff. So, it's definitely clearly an awesome market. A lot of them are go-getters, and anyways, that's super cool. That's fantastic.
Yep.
So one of the things I've noticed too, though, is that, immediately you were doing the same thing with me, and I was blown away with that. Hey, do you need help with this? Do you have VAs for this? I have teams for this. You are an absolute master with VAs. How did you get that way?
Well, and thank you for saying that. I love helping people, and I often tell they ask me what's my agenda sometimes, very few, but I say I just like getting a break from the paying clients who are so demanding. It's like a little break to just pull away and just go help people for free with no expectations. So thank you for that. But yeah. I have been an entrepreneur my whole life. My father was an entrepreneur, made some money in the door and window business, and very early on, well, not too early, I guess my late 20s, because I went and got an architectural degree, drafting degree from 26 to 28. But as soon as I came out of that, I worked for someone else for 6 months, and that was it. I had worked for people previously from 16 to 28, but I knew at that moment I did not want to work for somebody else, and I couldn't work for somebody else. It felt like my soul was in jail.
Yeah, I get that.
I left the corporate world. I was working for an engineering company, and I co-advertised. I didn't think you could even do this, but I rented an exhibitor space at the Kitchen and Bath Show in Orlando, Florida, way back when, and shared it with one of my competitors. And I was turning away 95% of my leads. I was so lucky because what I was providing was CAD drawings and artist renderings to interior designers and kitchen designers, and they didn't have anybody that was serving them. Usually people that were draftspeople were going to work for architects and engineers, and so the designer industry was kind of left hanging, and I filled that void, and I was turning away so much business. I knew back then that I had to learn how to scale my business and learn how to use the software that was out there that was going to help me scale my business by leveraging the tools and the people. So very early on, I started to outsource to other drafters and just caught the bug of outsourcing and marking up the work and being the middleman, really.
Yeah.
So I was outsourcing right away. I ran with the CAD services for about 4 or 5 years. And after teaching myself everything on the internet, everything that I could at that time, the internet was much smaller then.
Yeah.
It was easier to master.
Sure.
I rebranded into Internet Girl Friday, and I've been doing that ever since. And again, I did lose my business for about 2.5 years, but I've been back at it now, and I have virtual assistants and developers, and it's great because that's in my mind, that's the only way to scale your business is to have a team to support you. And that's what we're doing.
Yeah, and you clearly have that. I mean, it's so fascinating, though. I wish I could pull up the text real quick that you sent me, though. Like, it was a long list of stuff that you were asking me if I needed help with. I was like, man, she's got the hookups.
Yeah, I always say if it touches the web, we can do it, and mean it. People come to me and say, well, I have friends that don't, how the friends and family never know what you're doing with the internet. They don't get it.
Yeah.
I have a friend said, called me. I said, listen, I got 20 minutes to talk. What's up? And he said, sounds like you're too busy and you can't take on my work. I said, no, I have a team for that. I can do it. We can do it. I'm hiring people all the time. There's no shortage of people out there that want to work, whether they're U.S. based or they're offshore. There's hundreds of thousands of workers out there that, you can go to Fiverr, you can go to so many different sites and get people to help you in your business. And I take advantage of that.
That's amazing. Back, so when I was in college, that's really when I started getting the bug for this. Well, that's when I started getting traction, I should say. But I always had the bug. But I went and I started hiring these different VAs, right? My buddy and I, we were building this smartphone insurance business, and we went and we hired out this guy, and he was just like, he wasn't very good. We paid him $500 to build this really small thing. It wasn't big at all, and he got it back and it was awful, and we're like, what the heck? So that's why I started learning using ClickFunnels so I could do it on my own, but then another time came up, and I was like, man, I'm really striking out with these VAs, and so I'm curious how it is that you actually go find good ones, because that's a skill in and of itself that I don't think people realize you need to have. Not all VAs obviously are built the same, and so what process are you taking up, or what are you having them do, or how are you vetting the VAs for your vets?
Well, there's a couple different ways. I hate to say this, but I don't like the big outsourcing sites.
Sure.
I think it's really hard to find that needle in the haystack, and you have to spend a lot of time sorting through people that are really just looking at the dollars per hour, right? They're like, no, I can't make anything less than $8 an hour. And they overbid, and I just don't like those sites. I never had great luck with them ever.
Huh. That's totally opposite than what everyone else says. So that's interesting.
I've done it for 15 years. I've been, if I had an army of 100 virtual assistants, do you know how much money I'd be making? So if it was that easy, I would have just hired a team of people from there. But I've spoken to people for 15 years from those big sites. What I find works for me is I enter a couple virtual assistant groups on Facebook.
Huh.
And whenever I have a need for somebody, I post the job on my blog post, and I'll send a link out to the virtual assistant groups and say, hey, by the way, this week I'm looking to talk to people that have skills in whatever skill I'm looking for that week. And that's worked out well because I only get a handful. I might get 10 to 15, 20 applicants. It's totally manageable. I have a form on the blog post. I'm not going to field emails or phone calls or be scattered. I want them to just dump their info into a form. And then I can go back and look at, and I can say, all right, I'd love to talk to these 3 out of 10 on Skype or somehow. And they say hire 2 and fire 1. So, try a couple people out just on a small, I work through baby steps when it comes to hiring a virtual assistant. Let's take one tiny task, not, oh, I found you, here's all my money, here's all my tasks, talk to you in a week. That will just go wrong every time. You want to start with, can you contact me on Skype? Because that's a requirement. That's my office. That's where we all have our conversation. So if they tell me they don't have Skype, they're out. It's that simple. You have to work my way in my company with my tools. I'm flexible, but you have to show up in my time zone. You have to speak my language. So we start at the very beginning and make sure that those pieces are there before moving on to, okay, now here's how you get into my project management system, and here's where you find your first task. And I work closely alongside them and say, stay with me right here on Skype. Tell me, Jennifer, I'm starting task A right now, and I plan to be done in 15 minutes, and I'll ping you back when I'm done so you can review it. So it's really micromanaged in the first week, and as you get more comfortable and as they're trained a little bit more, then they can work on their own time. And I literally do that every morning for about 2 hours, Monday through Friday, from roughly 9 to 11 every day, which is a lot of time when you think about it.
Yeah.
But I'm also mentoring virtual assistants. So I'm not paying the ones that I mentor that I identify in the groups as being really smart and might have come from 15, 20 years of past corporate experience. So they have skills. They just don't realize how to translate them to the internet. And I love helping people. So I say, come on in as an apprentice. You can follow along. You can invite your friends to sit in your house and watch. It doesn't matter. And I've hired people from that group as well.
Wow. So it's almost like you're using, I mean, that's fascinating. So if the person is good, they might have friends that are good. Might as well bring the friends along and train them too.
Yeah, and I tell them, listen, I'm looking to build teams. So if you already know someone, I had this conversation just last night with one of my Filipino VAs. She's amazing. And I said, I'm about to hire a few more. So if you know anybody, she's like, well, actually, I do have 3 assistants and they work in my house with me. And it's my goal to help these single moms that, need some more income to get going. I said, great, let's ramp them up. So, yeah.
That's fantastic. That's amazing. Because eventually what started happening is I was like, man, I literally have spent thousands and thousands of dollars on VAs for stuff that, was not very good work, and I was not happy with it. So I started kind of going through not the same process at all. I mean, that's genius. I'm going to have to, that's absolutely incredible. I'm going to have to think more about that and try and figure out how I can do that too. But or I'll just ask you, I'll hire you to do it. So what I started doing is, do you have a particular freelance or VA site, I guess, that you like more than others? Fiverr, Freelancer, Upwork?
I love Fiverr.
Yeah?
I actually, this morning before this podcast, I was looking on Fiverr for a virtual assistant, but only because in the virtual assistant groups that I'm in on Facebook, I saw someone saying, I'm not getting any traction as a VA on Fiverr. What am I doing wrong? And so I clicked on the link, which took me to their Fiverr account, and I said, I'm willing to try you out. Contact me on Skype. Again, that's my first requirement. But I use Fiverr for other services. If my dev team is too busy with some bigger projects and I need to knock out some quick keyword research or a quick image, I can go to Fiverr and I can find it. And it's just like any other service where you can see the ratings.
Yeah.
But for some reason, they've made their user interface so easy to navigate and quickly see, oh, wow, they've had 200 projects. They're 5 stars on all the reviews for all those projects. I'm pretty sure they're returning good work. Right. And it's $5. So if you, who can't lose $5, right? We spend that on a coffee sometimes. So yeah. It's different from going to the big sites like Upwork and saying you have to put your whole job description. You have to say, this is 30 hours a month or 30 hours a week, whether it's permanent, they make you jump through so many hoops before you even find someone. And then you might get 1,000 applicants and you have to sort through all that. It's too much work, where you can go to Fiverr and just browse really quickly and click on someone. You don't even have to click on someone and contact them, but you can just put your mouse over their little portfolio image and it shows you how many jobs, how many stars. So very quickly you can jump into having an assistant or a vendor. I know there's a lot of controversy with using offshore vendors versus keeping it in the USA.
Sure.
And I do keep most of my work, 99% of my work in the USA. Even my Indian development team is in the USA, strangely. Yeah. But sometimes when you're restarting, which is the mode I'm in now after the accident, you need that payroll break, right? You want to have assistance so you can scale your business, but you can't go out and afford the $25 an hour United States VA. So it does help to, go offshore. So I do like the Filipino virtual assistants. They are super smart, super talented. They're English perfect. They are very friendly and very accommodating. There's no language barrier like I've experienced with other countries. They're extremely affordable. Here's a little trick that I've done. I've gone to Wikipedia and typed up countries with the lowest hourly rate. And it's kind of mind-blowing and kind of scary that there's some countries or areas of their countries where 50 cents per hour is the minimum wage.
Oh, man.
That's not saying you can just go there and find a virtual assistant. Virtual assistants has to be a booming industry in a certain country for it to be valuable to you. But the Philippines are great.
That's incredible. Okay, so I'm just thinking through. There's a workaround that I have found that helped. I did a whole podcast on this actually earlier because it's a frustrating thing to go through. The biggest things I've learned from Russell, like you got to have people. The biggest things I've learned from my own things, like you got to have people. Otherwise, you as the entrepreneur get bogged down. You can't handle all of the tasks. And so, I mean, this is definitely valuable information to hear. And there was a workaround to using VAs that I kind of was figuring out too. And do you use freelancer.com much?
I have, but I didn't use it much.
Yeah, it's a little bit challenging. The thing that I like, there was one feature that kind of saved my butt on a lot of different things, and it was the fact that you can post contests. And
right.
That's actually pretty cool. So I needed all these different images made, and I needed, I needed a t-shirt designed. And I basically said, hey, I really want to motivate people, so here's the prize is $100, and everyone submit your work. I'm just going to choose one guy. And it was fantastic. I mean, I got like 80 or 90 submissions, and the whole week during the contest, I could talk back to them and say, this looks good, but change this. This looks good, but change this. And I could rate all of their work, which was public to everyone else. So all the work and all the freelancers kind of started pushing towards a different, path as they watched my comments to other people. And that's really the only trick I have for VAs. I mean, I haven't done anything else that you do with it, and it kind of works, but what you do is a lot cooler. I feel like.
I don't know. The contests sound pretty cool. I remember seeing that on Top Coder years ago when I was looking to build a software, and someone said, if you don't have unlimited budget to build the software, presented as a contest. And I thought that was fascinating, where they have a contest for one part of the software and a contest for another part, and then they have a contest at the end to put all the parts together. And I thought that was fascinating.
Huh. That's incredible. Well, hey, there's a lot of people obviously who are trying to get into the space, who want to do kind of what you're doing. I know you kind of alluded to it before, but what would be, I don't know, kind of the first step to getting a good VA?
Well, I would definitely check out the virtual assistant groups in Facebook.
Okay.
It's a close-knit community. People can vouch for other people. There's some names at the top that know a lot of the VAs in the industry, so they actually have requests for proposal boards that you could sign up to and submit your work, and then you're getting a qualified VA, or you can come find me and I'll point you in the right direction. But I would check sites like FreeUp, that's with 3 E's, FREEEUP.com.
Oh, I've never heard of it. Awesome.
It's new. It's getting a facelift. So the site is only about 8 months old, I think. They've got some big plans. Nathan Hirsch owns that out of Orlando, Florida. He's doing very well with it.
Awesome.
You can get VAs as low as $5 and up to $50 per hour, depending on what skill set you require. But check out the Filipino. I can't remember the domain names off the top of my head, but there are a lot of Filipino virtual assistant sites out there that you can just Google it up and it'll pull up some of the top ones. And they really are a great crowd for your everyday administrative stuff. I mean, I'm literally teaching my VAs now how to set up some of the beginning integrations of ClickFunnels.
Oh, that's awesome.
They have a checklist and they can go through and connect the SMTP and the domain and do some of the basic setup, and then I can take it from there and build the funnel.
That's fantastic. It's just because you mentioned it, I mean, how are you using it with ClickFunnels? I went through, I looked at your site, and it looks fantastic. It's it's very clean. This is how to go virtual, right? .net.
That's the Academy site that we're launching. The services site where all of our clients go through is internetgirlfriday.com.
Okay.
And, of course, like any other entrepreneur, we have multiple different sites. But what happened was I needed to get all of this information into other people's hands, right? So I've got 15 plus years on the internet. Of course, you want to package that up and provide it online as a video course or some type of academy environment. So I created a class to teach people the 4 steps of getting your business website launched, because you know how customers get confused about the internet. The internet is so big now, and there's so many steps and the algorithms, and
yeah.
They get approached by so many vendors, what should I be paying for? And I said, I have got to find a way to simplify this. And so back in 2010, I think it was, I came up with the 12-step plan, and just a way to categorize everything you do on the internet into 12 categories. That's it. I just wanted to show people, okay,
wow.
Step 1 is your research and your keyword research and your competitive analysis. And step 12 at the end is analytics, and everything falls somewhere in between, so that they had something that they could follow along. And not that every strategy goes in order, but the first 4 I call the foundation. You've got to do your keyword research if you're going to launch a website, and your competitive analysis, and you have to know, what people are looking for, what your target market is looking for. Step 1. Step 2, building your website in a blueprint first. And I think that's so important, because you need to get the SEO and the keywords that were revealed in the first step into your website. And if you just hand your website over to someone, they might make it beautiful for the humans, but they're neglecting what the robots need to see from Google.
Right.
So that's step 2, build the blueprint. Step 3, build the website. Step 4, connect it to the search engines and some directories. And now you've got your foundation to go offsite and do all your marketing with whatever strategy you're deploying. So I packaged that up into a course, and I'm glad that I had the time off that I did, because when I came back to it, there was ClickFunnels, and it was like, it's finally there, right? Because the funnel isn't new. The strategy isn't new. It's a little different because, again, the internet is bigger and more complicated.
Yeah.
But a sales funnel is still a sales funnel, right?
Yeah.
We didn't reinvent the funnel. We just put the software together in one place. So I say we, but Russell. So all the steps that you used to have to do, you used to have to literally build a landing page, usually in HTML, because you needed it to be a certain way. And if you needed a green check mark versus a red check mark, it was all piecework. And then you'd have to go to the next step, and you'd have to connect your email responder, and everything was daisy chained together. And it was so
awful.
Overwhelming that most people didn't launch because there was so much work. Even me, who has a team, knew how to do it for so many years, I could never launch because it was overwhelming.
Yeah.
And ClickFunnels comes on the scene, and it's all in one place. And I don't use the term all in one lightly. I don't give credit to many softwares, and it's not an all in one where, your billing and all your other things are in there. But for the funnel, it's all in one. Everything is literally in one place, and it's been so exciting to set up and to get going, and to see that now I can literally wake up at 3 a.m., have an idea, and within 2 hours have a funnel going and some ads going, and it's launched.
Yeah.
So that's the exciting part, and my clients are excited about it too. So
that's so cool. I mean, that's so awesome. I remember when I first started putting things together it was an artist, actually. I built the first site / funnel for like 4 or 5 years ago. And I remember spending 2 days, 2 full days trying to make WordPress act like a squeeze page.
I know.
And it was the most hellish thing. I mean, it was awful. And I remember just settling with something. I can't remember what it was. Neither of us liked it. I'm not a coder or programmer. I can read it, I can edit it, but I'm not at all a programmer at all. And I was like, this is this is terrible. Like, I don't, and I almost like kind of gave up on the internet a little bit because it was so hard.
Right.
And then when ClickFunnels came around, I remember I saw the presentation that Russell gave online, and like, I probably shouldn't have done this, but like, I didn't talk to my wife about it. I immediately bought it, and I started using it and building for other people. I was like, this is the craziest thing. And now I dream in the funnel editor. It's the funniest thing.
Same thing, yeah, because back when you were creating your own landing page, which again is just one tiny piece of the whole funnel,
Yeah.
I often went back and forth to, geez, I got to hire a developer just to create a landing page page template in my WordPress, and then that never got done. And then you go over to the third-party platforms that are providing only landing pages, and you're like, I don't want to spend another $50 a month just to do this one piece, because by the time I'm done with the whole funnel,
Yeah.
I'm spending $1,000 a month just to get, to get it all connected. And yeah, it's been such a blessing. I'm so excited.
Yeah, I think my record so far was, sitting here next to Mr. Russell Brunson. I think the fastest we put a funnel out is like 45 minutes or something like that, a full one. But it's like, there's no way. He and I will still sit back and be like, I can't believe we have the software. And he's the CEO of it. And be like, man, look what we just did. Look what we pulled off. And
I remember
he's like, they used to cost me. Yeah, he's like, this little change used to cost me like 10 grand. We're going to do it in like 30 minutes.
I remember testing my first webinar funnel, and I didn't have it completely set up, but at some point I got my reminder email and I said, oh, look, how cool is that? I'm already getting the emails automatically. I didn't even set up the emails. And I clicked on the link inside that said, your webinar is starting now. And I clicked it like 20 minutes late. And when I did click it, it went right into the webinar that was playing at the 20-minute mark. I said, oh, this is magic.
Yeah. It's so cool. Well, hey, I know I said we keep it to like 30 minutes. You are amazing. I mean, I can't believe that all the stuff you're pulling off is incredible. Manager and builder of teams. Obviously, I'm looking at all your sites right now. It's absolutely incredible. And just crazy impressive. So where should people go if they want to follow you, learn more about you, even obviously use some of your services?
Yeah, so if you go to internetgirlfriday.com, then you can find my social media, which is everywhere. We have Periscope and Instagram and YouTube and all that, and follow me on any of those, and we're very active there. So internetgirlfriday.com is the services site. You can contact me there. You can say, hey, I don't need to hire you, but I have a question, and I'll be glad to help.
Awesome. I appreciate it so much, and thanks. This was kind of spur of the moment, but this has been awesome.
Sure. Thank you.
Alrighty. Hey, we'll talk to you later.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to Sales Funnel Radio. Please remember to subscribe and leave feedback. Want to get one of today's best internet sales funnel for free? Go to salesfunnelbroker.com/free funnels to download your pre-built sales funnel today.